If you've ever tried setting up a computer at home or maybe in a small office to be a server that's accessible over the internet, complete with its own domain name, then you'll know it can be a real pain to set up. So apart from setting up the physical server itself and setting up the software on it and maybe configuring its firewall, you have to set up a dynamic DNS to point to your home network. That dynamic DNS needs to have a client in your home network that keeps it updated to point to the right IP address. Then you've got to configure what's called port forwarding on your router so that incoming requests get sent to the right computer. And then if your internet service provider is like mine, it still won't work. Reason for that is, in my case, it happened a few months ago. My internet service provider decided to put my home network behind what's called a Carrier Grade NAT, or Network Address Translator. So the easiest way to think of it is you've got your router, and then the ISP puts their own router in front of that between your router and the internet itself. So my ISP's excuse for that is to say it's to protect your network. Reality is they may be running out of, well, the world is running out of IPv4 addresses. There aren't enough to go around. And it's more profitable to rent the ones that are available to, at high expense of course, to businesses that actually need a static IP address. Anyway, the basic short story is that you can't set up, especially if you're behind a CGNAT, you basically can't set up a home server that's internet accessible directly anymore. There is a way around it. And so what I did when I needed to test the latest features in Zeta FTP server is I have a VPS, or virtual private server, accessible on the internet. I set the DNS to point to that, and then I connected to it via SSH and set up a reverse tunnel. And then Zeta FTP server was accessible over the internet. So it all works, it's doable, but that's even more complicated to set up than it was before. It's not the kind of thing I'd expect an average user to do. Anyway, so what I'm thinking of is effectively setting up a tunnel proxying service so that rather than having to do all the stuff, you can get your server, your home server, connected to internet accessible within minutes. So no need to mess with SSH, no need to mess with your router, with dynamic DNS or anything. You connect to the tunnel server, choose the domain name you want, and then it works. Now, of course, I've got plenty of other things that I could be working on. So my question is there enough interest in a reverse tunnel service like that to make it worthwhile? Because it's only worth doing if enough people want it. So if that's you, if you'd like to get a home server connected, internet accessible, easily, without having to jump through hoops, without having to rent a VPS out on the internet, which kind of seems to defeat the purpose of running the server in your home in the first place, then click through to my website if you're not on it already and just fill in the form to let me know that you're interested. And again, if enough people want it, then I might build it. That's it for now. I'll see you next time.